It's day one of the Linux Upskill Challenge, and today, of course, we're using SSH to connect to our internet connected hosts. It might be useful to just step through how this would be used in a commercial environment, because SSH is the way we get access to everything. So let's say, for example, in a commercial environment, we've got a client calls up and they say that they need us to connect to one of their intranet servers deep within their network. If I, as a support person, if I bring up my PuTTY, it's likely that I'll have some preset connections to various machines. So this one here, for example, to a Japanese Connect machine. So we've got an address here. If we look here, we can configure the size of the screen. We can configure the font size, etc. And so setting those things up the way that suits you. It's a useful skill. It's an important skill. It's just aesthetics, of course, but that sort of thing does matter. So colours in PuTTY are a little bit fiddly to set up, but you'll see in this particular example that I've actually set up sort of a custom retro kind of a colour scheme. And I'll log in. Now, this what we've done here is we've actually connected to a box called a jump box. That terminology is for a machine that typically like this is heavily monitored by the security team. It will be typically restricted to only certain IP addresses are allowed to attach to it. So in this case here, the IP address of my office is allowed access to it. But Pete from Poland, for example, on his IP address won't be able to get access to here, even if they know the password. In this case here, the client says, only use the SSH command. We're not allowed to do anything. We're not supposed to be mucking around on this box. So we will use the SSH command, but I will use tab a couple of times just to see which, yes, because in this case here, I'm looking for a machine called, it's for the Kyoto intranet. And inside the normal SSH client, the command line client, there's a facility to have a config file. And inside that config file to have configurations for various connections. So in this case, I've got one here for ky-intra. So we'll actually connect to that. And interestingly, you'll notice that it didn't ask me for a username or a password, and yet down the bottom here we can see that it's actually logged in as a different user, Snorri74, onto this machine. And the way that works is that that's been configured in that config file. And also, as far as the password's concerned, that we're using public key passwords to get access. So we don't ask for a password. It just the key is swapped between the two machines. So in this case, and this is pretty typical, this intranet server is looked after by somebody else, and all they want us to do is to restart it. That's all we're authorized to do, all we're asked to do. So that's all we will do. So sudo reboot. So a very simple task. Sudo re. A very simple task, but that's something that they need us to do. We've gone in, we've done that. To do that quickly and confidently, we have to be up to our game with SSH. We have to know what we're doing. So although it's a minor skill, it's a very important one. So I've now reconnected to that, and if I go up time, I just want to confirm that in actual fact that it has been restarted. So it's been going for 0 minutes. So it did successfully restart. I'll exit, and I'll exit from the jump box as well. And we're done. So very simple example of how we would use SSH in normal commercial situation.